everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dollar Dialogue. Today's episode 29, JP Morgan's Crystal Ball, predicting the future insights of banking with Mr. Ahan Mehra. Mr. Ahan Mehra is one of the most smartest individuals I've ever met in the world. He's very interested in the field of economics and finance. He's an upcoming NYU Stern enrollee, and he's again very interested in economics and finance, and he has participated in summer programs concerning economics and finance all over the world, including the USA. He's also very dedicated to the sport of football or soccer, some might call it, and he was actually accepted in a La Liga Academy, again showcasing his pure dedication to the things that he is interested in. He currently goes to Singapore American School in Singapore, and he's currently in grade 12, the same grade as me. And we're very glad to have Mr. Ahan Mehra here with us today. Mr. Ahan Mehra, is there anything that you would like to add to the introduction?
Yes, hi, I'm Ahan Mehra. I live in Singapore. I go to Singapore American School. I too am really interested in business, finance, and econs, and today's a really interesting topic we're going to speak about. I've also been really interested in the Dollar Dialogue podcast, and I can't wait to speak on it.
Thank you, Mr. Ahan Mehra. Again, today's episode is JP Morgan's Crystal Ball, predicting the future insights of banking. And to talk a little bit about the crystal ball and JP Morgan's standing in the banking world, it's first important to understand like JP Morgan is one of the largest and most influential financial institutions globally. It operates as Chase and Co, I think, in the US, and the entire company says JP Morgan Chase and Co, and it has been a long player in forecasting trends and shaping the future of finance. The firm's vast research capabilities, technological investments, and historical perspectives provide invaluable insights into the ever-evolving landscape of banking, investment strategies, and global economic shifts. This analysis takes a deeper look today, we would do that, into how JP Morgan anticipates the future of banking and finance, backed by data, historical trends, and prediction. To begin, one of the most important things in the banking sector and one of the revolutionary things that's occurring in the banking sector in right now is technological innovation. Technology continues to be a primary driver of transforming the banking sector. JP Morgan has consistently been at the forefront of adopting and investing in emerging technologies such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, ML, and digital assets. And to provide some historical context, the digital banking for JP Morgan began in the early 2000s. Banks like JP Morgan began investing heavily in digital banking infrastructure. Early innovations including online banking and electronic payment systems which reduce friction in global financial transactions. By the mid-2010s, mobile banking apps became standard offerings from major banks, including JP Morgan's Chase mobile platform. And JP Morgan was one of the first major banks to seriously explore blockchain. In 2016, the bank launched its blockchain center of excellence to investigate blockchain's potential in payments and cross-border transfers. By 2019, JP Morgan became the first US bank to create a digital currency, JPM coin, aimed at facilitating instantaneous transactions. As for a little bit about the blockchain investments and other things that have been done by JP Morgan, in 2023, JP Morgan committed over $1 billion in blockchain-related technologies, expanding its enterprise blockchain platform, Onyx, which supports over 400 institutional clients across trade, finance, and digital assets. And the bank's AI-driven platforms are revolutionizing everything from credit scoring to fraud prevention. One example is Coin, also known as Contract Intelligence, which uses AI to process legal documents, saving JP Morgan an estimated 360,000 hours of manual labor annually. And JP Morgan also has expanded its cryptocurrency services with Onyx, allowing institutional clients to trade digital assets. And the bank's focus on blockchain-based tokenization has been increasing, especially in areas like real estate and cross-border payments. And JP Morgan reports that as of 2024, Chase mobile app has over 60 million users, making it one of the most widely used banking apps in the US digital payment systems like Zelle. Peer-to-peer transfers and Chase Pay are central to its mobile banking strategy. And as for the future outlook, I completely believe that the continued development of central bank currencies, CBDCs, and blockchain infrastructure may disrupt traditional banking system, moving towards a decentralized finance ecosystem. And the AI-driven automation will significantly reduce operational costs while enhancing personalized banking experiences with machine learning algorithms, potentially managing 70 to 80% of routine transactions and financial decisions. So that's a very brief introduction about the technology innovation that's been occurring at JP Morgan. And what are your thoughts on this technological innovations and its implications for the future, Mr. Ahan Mehra or Arif Malik or Shazib Karim?
I think it's really beneficial for the future, especially as you said, blockchain, the AI, machine learning, and digital banking. Because as you said, JPM coin, which facilitates instant cross-border payments. This not only cuts transaction time, but also reduces costs, which ultimately makes banking more efficient. And as we know right now, AI is a big thing. So when they use AI for predictive analytics, especially for forecasting market trends and detecting risks in real time, it also allows them to power their customer service chatbots, which deliver personalized finance advice to anyone who wants to see. And lastly, you talked about digital banking. And with mobile banking becoming a priority nowadays, JP Morgan is making banking services more accessible and customer friendly. So their focus on digital transformation reflects the growing demand for seamless tech driven experiences.
Yeah, I would agree with Ahan, and I would also like to provide a personal anecdote. So when me and Ahan were in Colombia, there was a professor of us called Professor Sloan, and Professor Sloan always used to tell us that the future of banking is technology. And I think the introduction of JPM coin could be more accurate. I would say it's a significant step towards our financial industry, and I think it brings numerous advantages. First of all, it streamlines the cross-border payments and reduces the settlement times from days to mere seconds, which can save institutions billions of dollars annually. And I would say, moreover, it enhances the liquidity management, especially in high volume transactions such as intraday repo markets, which handle over $10 trillion in transactions daily. And I would say, by leveraging the blockchain technology, JPM Coin provides greater transparency, security, and efficiency, which positions JP Morgan as a leader in the growing digital asset space. And I would say it also serves as a bridge between the traditional banking and the digital finance, which helps institutions adopt blockchain technology without venturing into the unregulated cryptocurrencies. But I would say there are some potential concerns. For example, the JPM coin is pegged to the US dollar, and I would say it remains under regulatory scrutiny, particularly as global governments become increasingly vigilant about the rise of digital assets. And I would say the adoption may centralize more power within JP Morgan, which raises fears about the market monopolization and the lack of competition. And some people also say that there's cybersecurity risk, but blockchain technologies are pretty safe, but they're not perfectly immune to attacks. But I would say overall, the JP coin is an amazing step toward the future, and I think Professor Sloan's words indeed came to fruition. And would you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree with that because I can't believe that what he was saying would actually come true because back then everything looked fine and good, but like now, as you said, it's not looking as good, and there are some problems which need to be tackled for like in order to have better economic prosperity.
I mean, personally, I would agree with you guys, and I think I would agree with you guys. And to just add on, I'd say that the integration of blockchain in the mainstream banking, like J.P. Morgan's pilot programs with the JPM coin, point to a future where blockchain might replace outdated settlement systems, which would make the transactions almost instantaneous. And then there's also the sustainability, like J.P. Morgan's commitment to the ESG, the environmental, social, and governance, shows how banks will prioritize green financing, and they're backing renewable energy projects and helping companies transition to net zero emissions. And I'd say that one of their standout projects is, as you guys mentioned before, using artificial intelligence, using AI for predictive analytics and market trends. Like JP Morgan's technology allows them to anticipate market shifts and guide both their clients and the bank itself through volatile times. And in my opinion, another notable innovation is their focus on quantum computing. Whilst it's still in its early stages, JP Morgan's investments in this technology could drastically improve the efficiency of complex financial calculations, from risk assessments to portfolio optimizations.
Arif, I see your, Arif, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would also like to add about the JP Morgan situation. Apologies,
Yeah.
the mic was a bit in a kerfuffle. So I would say another key benefit of the JPM coin is its potential to reduce the counterparty risk in financial transactions. And I would like to elucidate on this. For example, traditional systems often rely on intermediaries to settle payments, which introduces delays and increases the likelihood of defaults during volatile market conditions. And I would say by using this blockchain technology, JPM coin enables real-time settlement and ensures that funds are transferred instantly and securely, which is especially beneficial in large-scale corporate deals and or the high-frequency trading that I was talking about. I would say additionally, JPM coin could play crucial role in tokenizing assets like bonds, equities, and even real estate, which makes them easier to trade and increases the market liquidity in the process. And I would say on the flip side, it's a double-edged sword because there's a concern that JPM coin could deepen the gap between the traditional banks and decentralized finance, or as we call it, the DeFi systems. And unlike truly decentralized cryptocurrencies, JPM coin operates on a permissioned blockchain, meaning that JP Morgan retains control over the network. And some financial critics out there argue that this undermines the principles of decentralization and could discourage innovation by creating a closed ecosystem that primarily benefits large large institutions. And I would say, moreover, as a more financial institutions develop their own digital tokens, it could lead to the fragmentation in the digital asset space, making interoperability between different systems and coins a significant challenge for the global economy. And based on this, I would like to ask you guys a question. Do you think, in the long term, given the current, given that US just had an election, I don't want to comment on the election process or the outcomes as a whole, but do you think the election can possibly impact the JPM coin, and do you think it will impact it in a positive way or like in a negative way? Because the election just happened, a new administration will come over. The current administration, I would say, was pretty lenient on the JP Morgan. So do you think JPM coin will further benefit from the recent elections?
I think there's a possibility that JPM coin could benefit from uh, from the new administration because, as you know, Trump, who is going to be the new president of the U.S., he is also involved. He's a businessman, like before he was a president, and I feel like what his main administration's main focus is ultimately making the economy the best that it can be. And if JPM coin proves that it can help and it is the future, then I feel like then the administration can have a really positive impact on the JPM coin and the future.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because because like Trump's administration, it has signaled a pro-crypto stance, aiming to position the U.S. as a global leader in cryptocurrency. And this approach includes plans to establish a national Bitcoin reserve and appoint a pro-crypto SEC chair, which would potentially lead to a more favorable regulatory environment for digital assets. And here in this scenario for JPM coin, JP Morgan's blockchain-based digital currency is designed for facilitating instantaneous cross-border payments, such as like a regular shift could be advantageous, and a supportive regulatory framework may encourage a broader adoption of JPM coin among institution clients, and this would enhance its utility in global transactions. And also, additionally, clear regulations could reduce compliance uncertainties, like allowing JP Morgan to expand JPM coins applications and integrate it more seamlessly into the financial system.
Thank you for all the contributions to the discussion, Mr. Ahan Mehra, Arif Malik, and Shazib Karim. And one of the key things that was coming to my mind when talking about the technological innovations at JP Morgan JP Morgan, just like any bank in the world, provides loans to companies as they expand their businesses. And as Shazib Karim and even Arif Malik have some very insightful knowledge about the loan taking industry and how loans are financed in Bangladesh to provide businesses with the ability to stay afloat and expand their operations. Shazib Karim or Arif Malik, how do you believe, or Mr. Ahan Mehra even as well, how do you believe, like, what do you think, how technology will play a role in providing loans to businesses and to make it easier for businesses to access loans from major corporations like JP Morgan? Mr. Shazib Karim, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, sure. That's a very interesting question you asked. I mean, technology, I'd say that it's transforming how loans are provided to businesses, and it can be beneficial by improving accessibility, efficiency, and decision making. Because I'd say like it would help make faster decisions. Like if you look at machine learning models, like these models quickly evaluate a business's financial health, past performance, and market conditions to make real-time loan decisions. And also, we talked about how AI is very powerful in today's day and age. So even AI could be very beneficial in this scenario. Because like AI can analyze alternative data sources such as transaction history, like social media activity, and utility payments to assess a business's credit worthiness. And AI also removes like it improves the risk models, enabling lenders to offer tailored loans to businesses that traditional methods might overlook, like startups or economy enterprises. And also, like if you look at the blockchain for transparency and security, like smart contracts, for example, blockchain technology enables smart contracts, ensuring the term of the loan are automatically executed when conditions are met. And blockchain ensures that loan transactions are secure, transparent, and tamper proof. And this would increase the trust between the lenders and the borrowers. So yeah, if I had to answer your question, I'd say that yeah, it can be advantageous if used properly.
Thank you, Shazit. And now moving on with the conversation, one of the major things that's also important when it comes to JP Morgan's ability to forecast and play a key role as a bank in the global economy is its global economic prediction and strategy. JP Morgan's ability to forecast and react to global economic challenges such as geopolitical risk, trade dynamics, and market volatility is crucial to its success. The bank's research division is tasked with interpreting macroeconomic trends to guide both its own strategies and those of its institutional clients. And to provide some historical context, during the 2000 financial crisis, in the aftermath of the global financial crisis, JP Morgan became a pivotal player in stabilizing financial markets. Its acquisition of Bear Stearns in 2008 and Washington Mutual in 2009 solidified its position as a dominant financial institution. And post-crisis economic recovery, a post-2008, JP Morgan invested heavily in risk management tools and predictive analytics to better navigate market uncertainties, ultimately becoming one of the first banks to recover and even thrive in the low interest rate environment set by the Federal Reserve. And as for the data and analysis, the JP Morgan has significantly been involved in predicting global economies and how they will shape our future in different countries around the world. As of 2024, JP Morgan's global economic outlook predicts a 3.5% global GDP growth for a year, marking a recovery from the pandemic-induced recession, but still slower than the pre-pandemic growth of 3.9%. And JP Morgan has continually highlighted the risk associated with rising protectionism and geopolitical tensions. In a 2023 forecast, the bank predicted that global trade growth would decelerate to 2.3% annually through 2030 compared to the previous decade's growth of 3.8%. And the rise in inflation driven by supply chain disruptions and commodity price hikes and the corresponding tightening of monetary policy by central banks have been key points in JP Morgan's economic analysis. And in 2023, the firm predicted US inflation would peak at 8% before gradually recovering to 3 to 4% by mid 2024. And JP Morgan has also forecasted that emerging markets will continue to outperform developed country markets in terms of economic growth, with specific focus on Asia Pacific, especially China and India and sub-Saharan Africa. And India's GDP growth is expected to grow by 6.5% in 2024, making it one of the fastest growing largest economies globally. And as interest rates rise globally, businesses must be prepared for high borrowing costs and adjust investment strategies. And companies should also consider geopolitical risk in their supply chain and market expansion strategies, especially with tensions in Eastern Europe and the US-China relations. And the slowdown in global trade means that businesses need to be more agile in responding to the trade barriers, tariffs, and changing demand patterns. So, in conclusion, like JP Morgan has a very important role to play in analyzing and forecasting the global economic macro trends. What's your opinion on JP Morgan's role in this sector of the global economy, Mr. Ahan Mehra, Arif Malik, or Shazid Karim?
I think JP Morgan has an unparalleled ability to forecast global economic trends, as you said, and this is like critical in shaping their strategies. So first of all, there are three things it does. There's interest rates and inflation, the geopolitical risks like you talked about, and emerging markets. So obviously as inflation rises, JP Morgan advises clients to diversify their portfolios into assets that can withstand economic pressures like commodities or emerging equities. And then for geopolitical risks, so they constantly monitor events like trade wars or geopolitical tensions, providing clients with strategies to hedge against these risks. And lastly, like emerging markets, so like countries in Asia and Africa are areas of focus for JP Morgan because of the rapid economic growth and technological adoption. They see these markets as key to future opportunities. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Ahan. And like, I don't know, Ahan, if you remember, but back in Colombia, me and you actually made a presentation where we're investor pitch, where we actually told people to invest in JP Morgan because based on our analysis, JP Morgan had a very interesting future. And I think our analysis was actually right because looking at JP Morgan now, let's start with the basic statistics. It manages almost close to 4 trillion in assets, and it facilitates $6 trillion in daily transaction. And one of the largest banks, it commands a 9% share of global mergers and acquisitions, and it advises on deals worth over $4 trillion annually. And I would say JP Morgan's extensive global footprint spans over 100 countries, which allows it to fund key infrastructure projects and support trade valued at $32 trillion. And not only in banking, JP Morgan also leads in the global bond issuance, which helps to raise $395 billion in debt annually for governments and corporations. And I would say its market analysis and financial products reach over 250,000 institutional and private clients, which shapes decisions across markets. And I would say, however, its size and influence expose it to systemic risk and geopolitical risk. For instance, during the US-China trade war of 2018 and 2019, JP Morgan's exposure to both markets highlighted the impact of trade tensions on global finance. Similarly, the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict has caused volatility in the energy markets, with JP Morgan's commodities division heavily impacted by fluctuating oil prices. And despite these challenges, the firm navigates geopolitical risk uncertainty by diversifying its portfolios and using hedging strategies to mitigate risk. So, based on this, would you guys say that JP Morgan has been successful so far in mitigating its risk to global geopolitical risk? For example, the US-China trade war, or the Russia-Ukraine conflict, or even the contentious Israeli-Palestinian conflict that has been going on. Do you think JP Morgan has been successful in mitigating the risk and staying relatively profitable overall?
Shazib, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, sure. I think you asked a really interesting question. Well, I'd say that JP Morgan, he's actively engaged in risk mitigation strategies in response to geopolitical conflicts, and notably the Russia-Ukraine war. And in March 2022, the bank announced plans to wind down its business in Russia, aligning with international sanctions and regulatory requirements. But despite these efforts, the bank faced challenges. And in April 2024, a Russian court ordered the seizure of, I think it was like $439 million from JP Morgan, following legal action by Russia's VTB Bank. And this action was part of the broader fallout from Western sanctions imposed after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And additionally, in August 2024, JP Morgan sought to dismiss a lawsuit against BTB Bank in a US court, citing coercion due to a Russian court injunction. And this situation underscores the complexities and challenges the bank faces in navigating geopolitical tensions and legal disputes. So I'd say that in summary, while JP Morgan has implemented measures to mitigate risks associated with geopolitical conflicts, the unpredictable nature of such events and the resulting legal and financial challenges highlight the difficulties in fully insulating the bank from all the associated risks.
I think to add on, I agree with what you're saying, and I feel like there is also like one more negative thing that JP Morgan like has like that makes them that doesn't make them as successful as they could be. And I would say it's like one of their global strategies that has been like drawing scrutiny is that they prioritize short-term profit over long-term sustainability in some regions, particularly in industries like oil and gas, and especially a lot of geopolitical tensions going on across the world. This if they work on fixing this, they can become more successful and ultimately more profitable.
Thank you for all the opinions that have been shared. They have been very important in understanding the implications of JP Morgan's role in the global economy. And as for JP Morgan's business strategy in a changing world, moving on with this conversation, as the world increasingly becomes a digital first economy, JP Morgan's business strategies focus on leveraging the digital tools and technology to stay ahead of competitors. And since 2015, JP Morgan has started investing in cloud computing, moving many of its data operations to Amazon Web Services, AWS, and Microsoft Azure. This shift helped the bank streamline operations and lower long-term IT costs. And as of 2020, JP Morgan began using big data analytics to refine its customer targeting and credit risk modeling, a move that has resulted in significant cost savings and improved customer experiences. And JP Morgan's cloud first energy is projected to reduce IT costs by 30% over the next 5 years. And by 2024, 75% of its applications are expected to be migrated to the cloud. And the JP Morgan's ability to adjust strategies quickly in response to changing economic conditions is a major reason behind its continued success. The bank's digital transformation strategy has also allowed to respond to shifts in consumer behavior and economic uncertainty with agility. And businesses need to embrace cloud computing and data analytics to stay competitive, reduce costs, and enhance decision making. And as digital channels dominate, companies must innovate rapidly to meet changing consumer preferences and market dynamics. Moving on to the conversation about JP Morgan's business strategy in a changing world. One of the primary interesting things that I see when it comes to JP Morgan is that they're heavily based in the US, and they're heavily based in the developing part of the world. They don't play a significant role in developing nations such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the nations in the African continent. And in Bangladesh, throughout the developing world, you would see banks like HSBC, you see banks like Standard Chartered. You would also see those banks in the developed countries as well. But JP Morgan has not played a significant role in the development or the progress or the inclusion of people in the banking channels in developing nations. So, what do you think of this information, and what's your opinion on JP Morgan's actions compared to other banks' actions such as HSBC or Standard Chartered? Mr. Ahan Mehra, Shazid Karim, or Arif Malik? Mr. Arif Malik, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, let me chime in here. So I would say JP Morgan exists in not in a monopolistic market. Other companies, like you mentioned, HSBC and Standard Chartered are very competitive, and in some instances, as well as Citibank, all of these are very competitive against JP Morgan. And I would say a notable example of the rivalry is in the Asian market, where both JP Morgan and HSBC are the key players. In recent years, JP Morgan has been expanding its footprint in Asia, particularly in wealth management and investment banking sectors where HSBC has historically held a dominant position. And JP Morgan's increased focus on Asia has involved aggressive strategies such as expanding its investment banking business in China and other emerging markets, directly competing with HSBC's strong presence in the region. For example, in 2021, JP Morgan hired more than 500 bankers in the Asia Pacific, signaling a direct challenge to HSBC's traditional dominance in the financial sector. And I would say, the area of competition has been in the foreign exchange trading on the forex market and the corporate lending as well. Standard Chartered, which has a significant presence in emerging markets, especially in Africa and Asia, faces similar competition from JP Morgan, which has been long been expanding its footprint in these regions. For example, JP Morgan has been making strides in the capital markets and investment banking advisory sectors in markets where Chartered traditionally had strong relationships, such as in Africa and the Middle East. But most importantly, I would say on the legal forefront, JP Morgan has been involved in litigation against other banks, including the HSBC and Standard Chartered, as previously mentioned, particularly regarding the regulatory violations and accusations of market manipulation. One instance on the top of my head was when JP Morgan was involved in settling regulatory penalties with global authorities over with LIBOR manipulation, which also implied both HSBC and Standard Chartered. In these cases, JP Morgan, along with other banks, faced scrutiny over their role in fixing interest rates, basically like the oil cartel that we see in currently in the Middle East and other parts of the world. They were basically fixing interest rates that affected global financial market. But I would say, despite this competitive tensions, these actions are often a reflection of the broader industry trends as global banks like JP Morgan, HSBC, and Standard Chartered compete to dominate in rapidly growing markets, especially in Asia and Africa, where economic growth presents opportunities for expansion. Based on this, I have a question for you guys. Would you say JP Morgan has been successful relative to other banks in the Asian market or even in the Indian subcontinent? Because in Bangladesh, for example, the primary foreign bank that I see is primarily HSBC. I haven't seen a single JP Morgan bank in Bangladesh. I don't. If I'm not mistaken, JP Morgan hasn't really been prominent in Bangladesh that much. But would you guys say that JP Morgan has been successful in the Indian subcontinent or even Asia or even Singapore, where Ahan is from?
Well, you asked a really interesting question, and I'd say that we know that the bank has significantly invested in key Asian countries, notably in India and Japan, and I think his name is pronounced Siojo Leonard. I mean, the CEO of JP Morgan Asia Pacific highlighted these substantial investments in India, including increasing staff, capital, and technology investments. And the bank's commercial banking sector in India is expected to grow by 30%. So I think that just speaks volumes. And JP Morgan has also adeptly navigated the evolving financial landscape in Asia. Like, for example, in Hong Kong, the bank has adjusted in its strategies in response to Beijing's growing influence over the financial sector, which has led to a shift in the city's status as a global financial hub. And this includes focusing more on wealth management and reallocating resources to other regions. And the bank's commitment to technological investments is evident in its adaptation of AI and blockchain technologies. And these innovations have enhanced operational efficiency and service delivery, providing a competitive edge in the Asian market. So I'd say that while other international banks have faced challenges in Asia, such as reduced roles in Hong Kong's financial sector, JP Morgan's proactive strategies have enabled it to maintain and even strengthen its market position. And the bank's focus on expanding in high growth areas like India and Japan, coupled with its technological initiatives, underscores its success relative to peers in the region. And in summary, I'd say that JP Morgan's strategic investments, adaptability to market changes, and technological innovations have contributed to its robust performance in the Asian market, setting it apart from other global financial institutions.
I think to add on to what you're saying, Shalid, JP Morgan has established significant presence, like as you said, in international markets, particularly in Asia, through like strategic investments and expansions. The bank's commitment to the region is evident in like its operation, like in China, India, or in Southeast Asia, or even in Singapore, where I stay. In India, for instance, JP Morgan has significantly increased its investments, focusing on staff augmentation, capital infusion, and technological advancements, with expectations of a 30% growth in its commercial banking sector. However, JP Morgan's success in Asia is nuanced when compared to other global banks. While it has made substantial inroads, competitors like HSBC and Standard Chartered have a more extensive historical presence and a deeper integration into certain Asian markets. For example, HSBC's long-standing operations in Hong Kong and Standard Chartered's focus on emerging Asian economies have provided them a more entrenched market position in specific regions. So, like, to bring this back, like, altogether, JP Morgan has achieved notable success in Asian markets and international markets through, like, its strategic expansions. But nonetheless, when compared to some competitors and like that have been in the region longer, JP Morgan's presence, while significant, is still growing and evolving and has not yet reached its peak.
I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would like to make another nuanced point. I would like to make another nuanced point that we haven't really touched about pertaining JP Morgan and the banking sector, and that point would be pertaining the corporate culture that plays a significant role in its continued dominance in the global financial sector. I would say the bank fosters a culture of innovation, accountability, and risk management, which with an emphasis on attracting top talent and maintaining a high level of performance. And I think JP Morgan has been successful in doing that. And I would say one of the key aspects of JP Morgan's culture is its commitment to diversity and inclusion. In recent years, the firm has heavily invested in creating a more diverse workforce, including increasing the number of women and minorities in senior leadership roles. And as of 2023, the bank reported that 50% of its global workforce is female, which is very hard to find in the banking industry. As banking industry is primarily composed of males, but JP Morgan has managed to keep an equilibrium point, and also JP Morgan places a strong emphasis on client centricity and team collaboration. But additionally, just like Apple, I would say JP Morgan also has a high pressure environment where performance is heavily emphasized, and I think this leads to burnout and often work-life imbalance. And the firm's culture, while fostering inclusivity, is also can be quite demanding, with employees often working long hours to meet client demands and performance targets. And I would say, despite the challenges, I would say JP Morgan's culture remains a key factor. And I would say one of the key factors can be attributed to Jamie Dimon, who is the chairman and CEO of JP Morgan Chase. And I would say under Dimon's leadership since 2005, JP Morgan has become a global powerhouse in the banking sector with Jamie Dimon's strong leadership and strategic foresight, such as the 2008 global financial crisis, where his leadership style sort of helped JP Morgan stay not go bankrupt. And Jamie Dimon also has been a very adamant advocate pertaining the JPM coin. But I would say his leadership has of course not come with challenges. For example, in 2012, JP Morgan suffered a significant trading loss, which was I don't know if you guys know this, the London Whale scandal, where a bank lost over $6 billion due to risky derivative trades. And despite this, Jamie Dimon was praised for his transparency and taking responsibility for the mistakes he did, and using this incident as like a sort of opportunity to tighten internal controls. So I would say banking wise, JP Morgan has also succeeded because of its strong leadership, Jamie Dimon, which I think often is not as pronounced in the media as it should be.
talking about JP Morgan means that we have to talk about Jamie Dimon, as Arif has highlighted in his little analysis. And Jamie Dimon influence over JP Morgan is like the influence of Park Chung-hee over South Korea, or the influence of Saddam Hussein over Iraq, whether good or bad, whether good or bad, either ways, or the influence of Kim Jong Un over North Korea, or the influence of Lee Kuan Yew over Singapore. Again, these are influences, good or bad, but like these influences were very vital in the nation's political and economic history, just like JP Morgan's economic history or the banking history is going to be influenced by Jamie Dimon's legacy. And Jamie Dimon has been the CEO of JP Morgan Chase since 2005, making him one of the longest serving and most influential leaders in the financial industry. Under his leadership, JP Morgan has transformed into one of the most successful and resilient banks in the world. And JP Morgan, Diamond is known for his long-term strategic vision and ability to navigate complex financial landscape. And he was instrumental in steering the bank through the 2008 financial crisis, helping JP Morgan not only survive but emerge stronger by acquiring distressed assets such as Bernstein and Washington Mutual. And Diamond's emphasis on strong risk management has been a cornerstone of JP Morgan's success. He advocates for conservative lending practices and proven risk taking, ensuring that the bank avoids these types of catastrophic losses seen by some competitors during the 2000 crisis. And Diamond's leadership during the 2000 financial crisis cemented him as a strong leader and decisive leader. While many financial institutions were on the brink of collapse, JP Morgan was one of the few banks in the world that not only survived the crisis but also it came out stronger. Diamond played a pivotal role in again bailing out Bernstein and later absorbing Washington Mutual, which significantly boosted the bank's marketing position. And Diamond has been a strong force behind JP Morgan's success and embrace of technological innovation. Under his leadership, the bank has made substantial investment in blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning. He was a key advocate for the development of JPM Coin and the bank's own blockchain platform, placing JP Morgan at the forefront of digital transformation in banking. And Diamond has also overseen JP Morgan's global expansion, ensuring that the bank remains a dominant player not just in the US but across emerging markets like Asia Pacific and Latin America. And he also has expanded the bank's investments in banking, in investment banking, wealth management, and retail banking, positioning JP Morgan as a diversified financial powerhouse. And Diamond is also known for his political acumen. He has served as a influential voice on financial regulations, speaking on issues like banking reform and the role of central banks. And his opinion on economic policy and regulatory changes and financial market is highly respected in both government circles and the private sector. And Diamond also mentioned of maintain a focus on financial discipline, ensuring that JP Morgan remains highly profitable. Under his leadership, the bank has posted consistent record profits, with its net income reaching $48 billion in 2023, the largest driven by diversified business model and disciplined cost management. In short, Jamie Dimon has a very large influence over JP Morgan, and unfortunately, I don't think that he's going to stay as CEO of JP Morgan for a long time, because he has already been CEO for almost 20 years. So, what's your opinion on Jamie Dimon's role in JP Morgan's success, and what might the future without him look like? Because he cannot stay in power forever in JP Morgan. Mr. Ahan Mehra, Shazib Karim, or Mr. Arif Malik? Mr. Shazib Karim, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, he's Diamond is a crucial role for the company because like for example, in the 2008 financial crisis, I'd say that it was that specific moment was a defining moment for Diamond, because while many banks face challenges, JP Morgan's Chase weathered the storm under his leadership, and Diamond's decision to acquire Bear Stearns and Washington Mutual during the crisis not only stabilized the financial system, but it also solidified JP Morgan's position as a leading bank. And And the outcome of this was that JP Morgan emerged from the crisis as one of the strongest banks, while Diamond became a symbol of resilience and pragmatism. And Diamond has also been a vocal advocate for technology in banking, investing, and investing billions into digital transformation, blockchain, and AI. And under his leadership, JP Morgan launched the JPM coin, which we talked about. And we can overall see how he's emphasized the importance of keeping pace with fintech disruptors, ensuring JP Morgan remains competitive. And so, I'd say that Diamond's forward-thinking approach has helped JP Morgan stay ahead of technological trends, transforming into a tech-driven bank. And if we also look at his views and his perspectives, Diamond is known for his candid opinions on financial regulation. He has often criticized overly restrictive policies, arguing that they stifle economic growth and innovation. And he has called for balance in regulation, advocating for rules that protect the financial system without hindering the business. And so we can see how Diamond's views influence policy discussions and shape the global banking landscape. And and like e, for the bank, ESG is very crucial because uh, like Diamond has invested a lot into it. Like I think they pledged $2.5 trillion over the next decade towards climate and their social goals. And he has emphasized the importance of businesses serving broader societal needs, not just shareholders. So it really shows how he is as a person. Like he not only cares about making profit as a company, he also cares about how he's impacting the society. And Diamond's efforts position JP Morgan as a leader in responsible banking and sustainability as well. So yeah.
I feel like to add on to what you're saying, Shazab, like I agree with everything you told me and like you said, and I think that Jamie Dimon has been so pivotal in shaping JP Morgan, especially since the 2008 financial crisis. And I feel like without him, the future could be positive, but it also could be negative. And that's what JP Morgan might be facing as age overcomes Jamie Dimon, and he can't keep being CEO of JP Morgan forever. So I feel like there could be some challenges in the post Diamond era. So like in terms of leadership transition, a significant concern for JP Morgan is whether they can sustain their current momentum without Diamond's visionary leadership. And another point is that like successors may struggle to fill their shoes, particularly in terms of public perception and decision making during crises, because Jamie Dimon's reputation is largely positive across the media, and being able to fill such like a lot of people and like a lot of successors typically have a lot of struggle fulfilling large shoes, and I feel like that could be a case with finding a successor for JP Morgan. Additionally, it's kind of like a cultural shift. Like Diamond has been central to creating and maintaining strong internal culture of accountability and performance, and a change in leadership could risk diluting this culture, especially if a new CEO has a markedly different style. Lastly, there could also be there could also be struggle navigating industry challenges. So with Diamond's departure, JP Morgan would face the dual challenge of maintaining its leadership in technology and adapting to evolving regulatory landscapes without his season's guidance. That said, however, there could be some future prospects without Jamie Dimon. So back to my 3 points about succession planning. Um, Diamond has built a strong leadership team, ensuring that potential success like Marianne Lake and Jennifer Pipesack, co-CEOs of JP Morgan's Consumer and Community Banking Division, are well prepared to take over. Both leaders are highly experienced and capable of continuing Diamond's legacy. Additionally, JP Morgan's robust operational framework, technological advancements, and diversified business model mean the bank is well positioned to remain competitive even without Diamond. However, the bank could lose some of its ability to navigate unexpected crises with the same confidence and decisiveness that Diamond has consistently demonstrated. Lastly, reputation and influence. So, like basically, while Diamond's departure may initially cause an investor unease, JP Morgan's entrenched position as a market leader will provide stability. The bank's next challenge will be maintaining its influential voice in global finance without Diamond's personal charisma and advocacy.
I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, so apologies, the mic wasn't turning on. Yeah, I would say, as stated before, I would agree with Ahan and Shazib, and also you pertaining Jamie Dimon's uh, unequivocal role in shaping JP Morgan. So, as I said before, he mitigated the 2008 financial crisis, and under his leadership, JP Morgan is essentially one of the largest banks in the world. But I would say JP Morgan has been the leader since 2005, and I wouldn't say people are necessarily tired of him, but while in reality it's actually the opposite. People love him. In fact, some people, there was also a wide trend in the US where people wanted Jamie Dimon to actually become the president of the United States. So it just goes on to show, like, Jamie Dimon is a very likable guy, and I would say Jamie Dimon's likability with his strong intellect is what is driving JP Morgan forward. But I would say Jamie Dimon also, we have to understand that Jamie Dimon is also getting old, and I understand, like, sometimes in the US the CEOs are pretty old. For example, the Berkshire Hathaway Warren Buffett is almost like 90 something years old. But Jamie Dimon is relatively young compared to that. But I would say Jamie Dimon has indicated that retirement may come sooner than originally anticipated, because currently he's 68 years old, and with over 18 years at the firm, I think his timetable for stepping down is no longer set. No, it won't be more than 5 years from now. And he also has emphasized that Jamie Dimon feels energetic in his role and acknowledges that JP Morgan has begun preparations for leadership succession. His comments have sparked speculation who might succeed him, but several potential candidates are already within the company, including Marianne Lake, Jennifer Pipsack, both of whom have had significant roles at JP Morgan. And I would say, although the retirement date is for the firm is not set yet, it is clear that JP Morgan is laying the groundwork for transition, which I think is a really smart move. And as Jamie Dimon has indicated that he'll retire sooner than expected. So I think, who knows, maybe in 1 or 2 years, but I don't think no longer than more than 5 years, we'll see Jamie Dimon as the CEO of JP Morgan.
Shazib, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
I mean, yeah, sure. I would agree with you guys, and I think on this topic of Jamie Dimon, I would 100% agree with you. He is a really likable person, and he really is a great leader who is leading the company to do great things. And because of him, the bank is very successful. And like his like we can talk about his personal leadership style. Diamond is known for his direct, no-nonsense communication style and a hands-on leadership approach. Like he maintains an open door policy, frequently engaging with employees at all levels. And his leadership style fosters loyalty and drives performance across the organization. And to talk about his legacy and influence, Diamond's influence extends beyond JP Morgan Chase. He's regularly included in lists of the world's most powerful and influential leaders, such as Times Magazine's 100 most influential people. And as a thought leader, his annual shareholder letters are widely read for their insights into global finance, technology, and policy. So, like, in conclusion on about this, I'd say that Jamie Dimon's leadership at JP Morgan Chase is a testament to his strategic vision, resilience, and adaptability. Like from navigating the 2008 financial crisis to embracing technological innovations, and this is and being a big advocate for sustainability. Diamond has not only transformed JP Morgan but also reshaped modern banking. His legacy as a global financial leader continues to grow, making him one of the most iconic figures in the industry.
Yeah, so based on all the discussions that we've had, in my opinion, talking about finally, before we have a conclusion, before Talking about JP Morgan's future with initiatives like JP Coin and Orange, JP Morgan is positioning itself as a leader in blockchain technology and digital assets. And as the digital currency and blockchain technology evolves, JP Morgan is likely to expand its offerings in crypto trading and tokenized securities as well. And JP Morgan will also continue to increase its presence in Asia Pacific, Africa, and Latin America, where rapid economic growth, rising middle classes, and digital adoption create significant opportunities. And JP Morgan has also a net zero carbon emissions by 2050, and JP Morgan has committed to achieving net zero carbon emission across its operations by 2050. This will also likely to lead to an increased focus on green finance, sustainable investing, and funding for renewable energy projects. And with environmental, social, and governance ESG scores becoming a dominant trend. JP Morgan will continue to expand its ESG focused funds and advisory services, and the bank's private bank and asset management divisions are also expected to see strong growth as demand for wealth management services increase among high net worth individuals and institutional investors. And global growth is also expected to grow by 6% annually. And JP Morgan is also poised to capture a larger share of this market, expanding its private wealth management and alternative asset pricing. And JP Morgan also has investment in big data and predictive analytics to ensure enhanced digital making and optimize risk management and improvement customer experience. And the bank uses advanced analytics to forecast economic trends, market fluctuations, and consumer behavior. And as the banking industry faces scrutiny, especially around cryptocurrencies, AI, and data privacy, JP Morgan will also continue to adapt to new and regulatory environments. These include working with global regulators to shape policies on digital assets and cross-border payments. And this is, in my opinion, what JP Morgan's future might look like. So, what's your final opinion about what JP Morgan's future might look like, Mr. Ahan Mehra, Shazib Karim, and Arif Malik? Arif Malik, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, so I would say it's quite hard to predict the future accurately, but from my understanding of JP Morgan through thorough analysis, and I'm not saying I'm a soothsayer, but I would say based on my analysis from a long time ago, in fact, as I've mentioned before, in 2023, I actually made investor pitch with Ahan pertaining JP Morgan and why people should invest in it. I would say JP Morgan is in the right direction, and I don't see any reason why JP Morgan will not continue to thrive because the numbers speak for themselves. JP Morgan handles over almost $4 trillion in asset. It's almost, it's I would say it's half of what BlackRock currently is. I would say BlackRock will play a more prominent role in the future because of the BlackRock ETF and such, and also BlackRock is more politically involved. But I would say JP Morgan as a bank will continue to thrive. In fact, it is one of the largest, if not the largest, bank in the United States of America. And as I've mentioned before, it's trying to increase its regional dominance in Asia and Africa. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 to 10 years, JP Morgan has also conquered the Asia Pacific market, the Indian subcontinent market, or even the African continental market. So I think the JPM Morgan is in the right step forward. And overall, I would give JP Morgan's investment and banking strategy 10 out of 10 because they have been doing everything on par. Everyone loves JP Morgan, particularly its CEO, for example. Often with large companies like Amazon, like Jeff Bezos, he often has a negative connotation to him because people often think that he doesn't pay his workers adequately. But JP Morgan, the work culture, as I mentioned before, work culture is pretty chill in terms of the inclusivity, but it's obviously very, very stressful because JP Morgan strives for excellence. But I wouldn't say that's a negative thing because often with great companies, the work environment is quite stressful. But overall, I would say JP Morgan has a very successful future ahead of the firm, and I can guarantee that as soon as I'm turning 18, I will invest in JP Morgan.
Yeah, and I'd say, as my final opinion, I'd say that JP Morgan's future looks promising due to its strong foundation in innovation, global reach, and leadership. While challenges such as competition and regulatory hurdles remain, the bank's ability to adapt and lead in emerging trends like AI, blockchain, and ESG ensures that it'll stay ahead of the curve. And if it continues like it is right now with this trajectory, JP Morgan will not just maintain its status as a powerhouse, but may redefine the future of global banking.
And to add on my final point, I think JP Morgan and Chase stands as a global financial leader excelling through technological innovation and strategic global expansion and targeted investments in high growth sectors like AI and renewable energy. Under Jamie Dimon's leadership, the bank has demonstrated resilience during crises and forward thinking vision, cementing its dominance in the industry. With a robust succession plan, continued focus on emerging markets, and a commitment to digital transformation, JP Morgan is well positioned to navigate the challenges of cybersecurity risks and economic uncertainty while shaping the future of global banking. Its adaptability and visionary strategies ensure it remains a key player in the evolving financial landscape.
So, based on our discussion, I believe that we can come to the conclusion that JP Morgan's future is characterized by digital innovation, sustainable initiatives, and global market leadership. And the bank's long-term strategy focuses on embracing technological advancements like blockchain and AI, expanding its services in emerging markets, and deepening its commitment to sustainable finance. And through a combination of strategic acquisitions, wealth management, good and advanced risk management, JP Morgan is poised to maintain its global dominance in the financial sector well into the next decade. So, is that a conclusion that all of you would agree with?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yes, I would agree with it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for your agreements, and I think that brings us to the end of our discussion for today, episode 29, JP Morgan's Crystal Ball, predicting the future insights of banking with Mr. Ahan Mehra. Mr. Ahan Mehra, thank you so much for joining into today's podcast here with us today. We hope that you really enjoyed our podcast discussion and that helped you understand and comprehend the implications of JP Morgan's role in the global economy. Mr. Ahan Mehra, is there any final words that you would like to say before we depart for today?
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast. It's such an honor to be here and to talk about the future of JP Morgan and the future of world economics. And I feel like there's a bright future ahead. If all goes well and under succession, if Jamie Dimon gets a new successor, I agree with what Arif said that and what Shelif said that JP Morgan does have a good future, and I too also want to invest as soon as I turn 18 in JP Morgan. And I learned a lot today, and like a lot of stuff we talked about today, I'm going to carry with me in my future decision making. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahan Mehra, for that final concluding words. Those statements mean a lot to us and for Dollar Dialogue. Thank you again so much for joining into today's episode and contributing to discussion. Again, to this episode was episode 29, JP Morgan's Crystal Ball, predicting the future insights of banking with Mr. Ahan Mehra. Thank you to the audience for chiming into today's episode discussion, and I hope that you also really enjoyed it. And that brings to our episode conclusion. We hope to see you next week with another very interesting episode, another very interesting topic, and another very interesting guest speaker. Thank you, and goodbye for now.